Hello and welcome back to another episode of LMScast. My name is Chris Badgett, and I'm joined by a special guest, another Southerner. Many of you may not know that I'm originally from North Carolina, but that is where I'm from. We've got John Turner from Charleston, South Carolina. He is the creator of SeedProd, which is a coming soon maintenance mode and does some other cool stuff, solutions for your WordPress website. John, welcome to the show.
Hey, Chris, thanks for having me. I'm excited to be on and talk with you today.
Yeah, absolutely. It's always great to interview other entrepreneurs. I was on John's podcast called Hooked on Products. So if you like, looking into kind of entrepreneurial case studies, especially in the online software space, check out the Hooked on Products podcast. But before we get into that story of how you got into podcasting, you and I are about the same age. We're right around 40. You said you've had 3 to 4 businesses since you graduated college, trying to get into entrepreneurship or whatever. Can you take us on that journey from just what happened between 20 and 40? Why did you want to become an entrepreneur? What were the 3 or 4 that failed along the way before you got to SeedProd?
Sure. So I specifically remember this. So after I graduated college, it took me about 3 months to find a job. And when I finally did find a job, I was living with a good friend of mine. And I remember coming home after work. And, after you get done with the college experience, you think you're ready to take on the world, right? And we came home and I sat down. It was like 6 o'clock in the evening. And we were eating dinner. I was like, is this it? It's the rest of my life, And I remember that specifically. That's just not really how I wanted to live the rest of my life, is working for someone else and doing the 9 to 5 and stuff. So that kind of lit the fire in me to want to start a business. And at that time I was living in Nashville and I was learning web design and stuff. So I started building some websites for some musicians, and I was like, you know what? I could probably automate this somehow and build like a CMS. I think every programmer builds a CMS at some point, right? So I decided to build that. And at the time, I really didn't have any idea about marketing myself or my service or my product. So I built it, and just through a word of mouth, I had a little bit of success, but I would not say anything where I could quit a day job. It was making around 4 figures a month, which is pretty good. And, it just, that trudged on for, many years, I guess, about 8 years or so. And I was like, well, maybe this isn't working. So I tried a couple other things. So I did like a Twitter app and a Facebook app and stuff like that. And, like I said, I didn't really understand the marketing aspect. I didn't understand you needed to find your audience first and then build a product for their needs. I was just building products and thinking people would buy it. So after 10 years or so, I found Rob Walling, who was the founder of Drip. He had an academy called the Micropreneur Academy that taught you how to build software products and sell them. And the selling was the key part I was missing, right? So I joined his academy and learned kind of the 101 of marketing. And at that time, he actually had a course. And the course walked you through how to basically step 1 to step 10 on setting a product or creating a product and selling. And one of the steps was that you needed to vet the product somehow and see if there was interest in it. And the way you did that was you set up a landing page, you drove traffic to it, and you collected. It's kind of like a phantom product. You don't even have to build it yet. You just put up a landing page and see if you can generate interest. So I did that. But at the time, WordPress didn't have anything to really do that with. So I built something quick and I released the plugin for free on WordPress.org. And I was testing a bunch of different ideas. I was doing what he said. I was putting up landing pages and driving traffic to them and seeing which one would fire and which one wouldn't. But during that time, I found out something interesting is that a lot of people also had that same need. So my free plugin started getting tons of feature requests. So I started building those, and I released the pro version of that plugin. From day one, I started making sales, and it kind of took off from there. I found out there was a need for the product, people wanting to send up landing pages in WordPress to, one, either just test an idea or to hide their website while it's in design, or just general coming soon stuff. You want to collect leads, obviously it takes time to build a website. So why not use that time to collect leads and get feedback on what you're building? So that's the kind of the journey there.
That's awesome. I love that. It's a classic, pre-selling technique. I've also heard it called the false door test or a cardboard wall test.
Sure.
I can't underestimate, or I don't want to understate the value of doing something like that.
Right.
And I just want to share something over in the course creation space that kind of blew me away just the other day, similar to what you're talking about in terms of demand. I'm a course creator. A lot of my courses, one of the reasons I build course creation software is I'm scratching my own itch.
Sure.
And I have a lot of courses where I've partnered with experts all around the world in a niche within organic gardening called permaculture. And one of the ways I market my courses is I take 2 of the best video lessons. I put them for free on YouTube. I optimize the title and description with links to the paid course and everything. And I just kind of set it, forget it, and throw that into the YouTube ecosystem.
Sure.
I've gone back and looked at some of those videos, and this is from a project about 4 years ago, 30,000 views, 60,000 views. Right. And then I look at my project right now, which is LifterLMS, online course creation software, which I spend all this time like marketing and creating content, and I'm lucky to get 1,000 views on a video when I'm driving traffic, all this stuff.
Right.
All that is to say that this whole like permaculture, organic gardening niche is way, 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 way bigger than course creators. It's not better or worse. I'm just saying the niche there's so much more going on with like zero effort. Just there's a product market fit kind of mass, like big niche here. And when I look at your product, SeedProd, if I look at it on WordPress, it has 700,000 downloads. That is amazing.
Yeah. It's
Could you speak to like big niches in a while, or speak to the concept of a big niche? Like, how has that impacted you? What was it like when you discovered that? Was it a surprise? Tell us about the scale of it all.
Sure. So, I don't know if you've read a book. It's called Blue Ocean Shift. Are you familiar with that concept?
Blue Ocean Strategy?
Yeah. Okay. So at the time, I'll kind of sum it up for people, but I recommend reading the book. When a niche is underserved, it's considered a blue ocean. And then you go into it as, the first person, you're creating your niche out. And then eventually more people enter it and it turns into a red ocean and it becomes crowded. And then you niche down again to create or reposition to create another blue ocean. So at the time when I got into WordPress, the plugin business in general was a blue ocean. So it was nice to be first to market and stuff. But now I have not thousands, but I'd say hundreds of competitors. But since I was early to market, I was able to establish a brand and a reputation. And what I still feel like is the best plugin to meet the needs, of what people are looking for. So I don't know if that answers your question. I might have went off topic there, but yeah,
it does. So there is some like kind of first mover advantage in the blue ocean, if you will.
Yeah. Right. So, right now, like I said, the market is getting crowded and I'm kind of looking for new opportunities out there, but I think in your space as well, like you were saying, the organic, I can't remember what you called it, organic gardening
permaculture.
Yeah. So that's probably a blue ocean right now, right? There's a lot of demand for people seeking information on it, it sounds like.
And it's very slow. That particular niche has been very slow to come online. So I just like went in there with some online skills and honestly, it wasn't that hard to kind of get in there.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Timing. Let's talk a little bit about you mentioned Rob Walling and the concept of the micropreneur. If we look at a niche like MarTech or marketing tech, I think I heard a statistic that's only a 20,000 company niche, which is a lot of people, but it's a small niche. It's not a giant niche.
Right.
But just because whether you have a big niche or a small niche is not necessarily bad. I'm just throwing that out there. Like you have 700,000 downloads. have a viable business. I have 7,000 downloads for our freemium front end of our product and have a viable business. So it's not always bad. You don't always have to be big. There's been some benefits to being small and super niched or whatever.
Yeah.
But go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. I was just going to say, and those numbers are really deceiving too, because just because I have 7,000 free users doesn't mean I have 7,000 paid users. And a lot of times with the plugins with the bigger user base have smaller people going into paid, whereas, you know, a smaller plugin might be definitely having more conversions on going get free to paid, basically. So yeah.
Could you share some like freemium lessons learned? So freemium being you have a free product that with an upsell to a paid version. Like, what are some lessons you learned along the way?
Sure. So I'm still learning, but
Yeah.
some of the lessons are you can't really. There's a fine line to walk between giving away just enough and too much, and obviously it's different for every product. But I think that's one of the reasons why my free product does so well is that it's simple enough to where it doesn't overwhelm somebody when they come in looking for it. It's just enough information for them to get the job done. But obviously, if they want more, then they can go to Pro. And I think that's with any product that's in the freemium space. You want to give them just enough to get the job done and do it well. But obviously, if they're looking for more or have a business case need for it, you want them to upgrade into it. So I think that's one of the biggest lessons I've learned. And I guess one of the next lessons I've learned is, and I'm still learning this, is the persuasion techniques into getting, and persuasion sounds kind of sleazy, but getting someone to upgrade to your pro version, so to speak, is an art, you know, a science and an art. And I'm still learning that. And it involves copywriting and basically understanding your customer. You know, how are they approaching your product? You know, how many times does it take? You need to educate them and you need to touch them and basically get your message across to them before they purchase. So I think that's a lot of the lessons I've learned and I'm still learning, and you know, it's a never ending process. So I think it's just, you've got to do stuff to actually learn what works and what doesn't work. And most stuff doesn't work, you know, but when you do find stuff that works, it's a big win. Sometimes they're small wins.
What do you think your most desirable paid feature is?
So the most desirable page feed I would give it a couple of them. The biggest one is being able to collect leads and then follow up with those leads. And then it also has a feature where you can kind of go viral. So people will sign up, and then if they share, they can collect points or entries, so to speak, where they can, if they get so many, you can award them coupons or things of that nature.
I kind of want to hold on that one right there.
Sure.
And just for the listener, I'll describe it and then fill in the holes with me, just so that we make sure you watching or you listening understand what SeedProd is. Mm-hmm. It's basically a coming soon single web page that you would put up like right when you start setting up your website while it's under construction. You know, you could, like John's saying, collect email addresses to start getting interest, you know, people that you're later going to sell to or notify that the business is open or the website is complete or the product is ready, whatever it is. But then it also has this thing, one of these paid features where you're kind of incentivizing people to share this thing that's under construction or coming soon or about to be better than it was before. Mm-hmm. That's what SeedProd is.
You're right. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And you know, it's funny. So when I built SeedProd, that feature was based off a Tim Ferriss blog article where a company called Harris, they sell razors, but they did the same thing basically. And they got around 10,000 leads. Now, obviously not everybody's going to get 10,000 leads or so, but you know, it's a viable way to get people to sign up for what you have to offer, you know. But the biggest thing of a coming soon page is just a specialized landing page where the main goal is to collect the email of, you know, your potential prospects for whatever it is that you have coming soon. So yeah. That's the main goal of it. And who doesn't want to have somebody to talk to when your website goes live as opposed to having crickets, right?
Yeah, and I just want to underscore that point, especially for the course creators and the membership site builders out there. The people that I see find the most success, they build their content, or at least they get their curriculum kind of mapped out before they go shopping for LMS software, membership site tools. But they often have the name figured out well before it launches. So if you've got that name, getting a coming soon page up that's collecting leads and is really pitching the offer of what this course or this membership or this school is going to be all about is really important, because you want to have that. There's nothing better than having that signal of, oh, people are opting in, people are interesting, spend a little bit of time sending some traffic to the opt-in page while you're working on developing the content. Because if you have that signal that oh, this has interest, it's very motivating, and it helps take some of the stress out of launching when you already have this initial momentum, because a lot of people are starting with the email list of 0. And this is where you start. This is the place to start. And I wanted to ask you, can you tell us more about this this referral feature?
Sure.
I found this really helpful for running contests and things like giveaways and things like that. But it's a great way to kind of open up a potential viral loop. Can you tell us more about that?
Yeah, sure. So basically the way it works is that somebody will sign up for your website to be notified when it goes live, or your course or whatever you're building. And then after they sign up, they're presented with a few different ways to share a unique URL they have that tracks who they send back to their site. And then based off that, you can award them, like I said, discounts or early entry or any kind of incentive you want based on the number of people they refer back to your website. So depending on what you have to offer, obviously this can go viral and help you spread the word of what you have coming up, and that you won't have to do so much, on advertising. They'll help you advertise it a little bit more. And like I said, if you Google the Tim Ferriss Harry's story, you can kind of see that in action and the results of that. And I've actually got a blog post coming up here on my website very soon that kind of talks to that and how it relates to SeedProd and things of that nature. But yeah, I think the biggest thing, just to go back on getting email and getting people to subscribe to what you have coming, you can also go to those people and interview them, and those interviews can help you create whatever it is you have to offer. I'm not sure if you're familiar with Brennan Dunn, but he has a course called Double Your Freelance, and he is creating a new product called Right Message, which is a personalization tool. And if you follow him, you'll see that during that process of creating this tool, people that was interested in it early, he interviewed over 20, 50 people to get feedback on the direction of his product. And I think that's crucial, because obviously you don't want to spend time building something that nobody wants. You need to figure out what your audience wants from you and deliver that back to them. Yeah.
Co-creation for no matter what kind of business you have, but as a course creator, getting that feedback loop open early, especially while there's still room to influence the product. I mean, that's what we're all about. And that's what we teach, is just not building in a vacuum.
Yeah, absolutely. It's very dangerous and can lead to a lot of wasted time and money.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, I wanted to ask you something, John, about something I notice sometimes is really unique in people, which you have, your co-host, Phil has, which is a combination of developer and marketing skills. Me personally, I have a software company like yours. I can't write a single line of code. If I ever need to go get the HTML for a link, I have to go to one of those W3 school websites and find the A equals href, whatever.
Right.
But sometimes I come across people like you who have this unique combination, where my approach is partnership, business partner, strength in numbers kind of thing. But there's people like you out there. What are some of the benefits and challenges of being a technologist and, kind of like the business marketing person too, like all in one?
Yeah, it's very challenging actually. And I guess the reason why I am that way is because early on in my career, I tried a few partnerships, and I had some bad experiences with those. So I think that's kind of influenced my overall direction. But I was a developer first, and marketing came out of kind of a necessity to learn it. But I actually really do enjoy it. I actually enjoy it more than the developing aspect now. And as my business grows, I've considered hiring a developer, but at the same time, I do like being small. I like being agile, and I like not having to answer anybody. So if I want to take a couple of weeks off in the summertime, and I won't feel guilty if I have, a team working around me, right? And at the same time, those skills is kind of like a 1-2 punch. If anything goes bad with this business, those skills transfer over to other business and opportunities. So, and really, I just enjoyed learning all this stuff. I think I think there's so many opportunities in the online space that it doesn't hurt to just learn and keep learning and applying what you learn. And, I just happen to learn tech and marketing, which are very valuable in the space. So, yeah.
Absolutely. Why'd you start a podcast? So the podcast is called Hooked on Products. Check it out on iTunes. Why'd you and Phil do that?
So we wanted to connect with other people in our community, in our space, that were kind of doing the same things that we're doing. And a lot of people start a podcast to help with their main business, or to teach, kind of
like get leads or
educate, what their product is selling. But we wanted to reach out to people in our space and connect with them and share our ideas and our stories and, our tactics and stuff. And it's been very, it's been awesome, to be honest with you. We met quite a bit of people like yourself there. And, everybody has a different story, but a lot of people have this, they all have this same connecting, driving forces that they want to create something awesome and, serve their customers. And I think that's one of the things that we enjoy about doing the podcast, is learning how other people are doing that, and kind of the techniques and applying those and testing those ourselves.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think there's something to be said for investing in relationships in your industry. I mean, there's this pressure to, quote, always be selling or whatever, but
right.
It's also good to just develop relationships in your industry.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I said, it goes back to the never stop learning philosophy that I personally have, is that I just want to learn as much as I can, and then take from that and apply it to my own business as well. And I got to say that your podcast that you did with us was awesome, and is I think one of the top 3 already that we've done so far. So,
that's awesome.
a lot of golden nuggets in there.
Yeah, thank you. How'd you meet your co-host?
Sure. So Phil and I met back when I originally joined the Micropreneur Academy. They had a forum that went along with that course, and we met within there. And I think it was about 3 years till we actually met in person. So we were at the kind of the same space in our career, our entrepreneurial career, and we were both looking for ideas and products. And we've just kind of bonded because we've kind of been on the journey together ever since. And I think, I can't even remember how, it's been about 8 years or something like that since I've known you. I can't even remember, but it's been a while. And then we meet a couple of times a year at various conferences and stuff. So yeah, it's been a nice relationship to have, and somebody just to go along with the journey with.
Yeah, I enjoyed, I've met Phil at a couple WordCamps and at an event called Cabo Press. It was really good to get to know him. I want to go back to your product for a second. Sometimes when we have products, whatever they are, you're always trying to like sweeten the stack or add more value to it.
Mm-hmm.
I was looking at your pricing tables, and you have these themes. So basically kind of coming soon or opt-in pages in a box with already pre-designed backgrounds and typography and stuff. And there's a lot of them. How many are there? Do you know?
There's 50 plus right now. Yeah.
So where did that come from, and what is the reaction to them been, and how do you decide when to build a new one, or how'd you pick the ones that you built?
Sure. So that's actually pretty new. Most people like to just start from scratch and design their own, but I had a lot of people that, just want to click a button and have an instant good looking page. Yeah. So I kind of did some research, and I took the feedback from people, and I looked at some of the, most popular spaces out there that people were wanting, and I built it off of those. And like I said, it's kind of a newer feature, and I track which ones get installed and stuff. So I kind of, based on those numbers, I go forward. But yeah, it's just been one of those things that I do a survey every few months, and that was one of the top ones, is they wanted more pre-designed themes in it. So that was what led that feature decision.
Yeah, that's great. I know business owners, your customers. I mean, there's like business owners, and there's people who build websites for clients. I've bought your product before for clients. I've used your free version. But the business person especially, sometimes they just want a template, pick the one that's most like them, change the words, and roll. Yeah, I mean, I think the whole boom in the page building industry attests to the power of, pre-done templates and theming.
Yeah. And I've considered adding a done it for you option on there as well. And that's something I think a lot of course creators do. I think a lot of them use that as an upsell. Is that right? Is that they'll have a course, and then an upsell is a done for you or something like that. Is that true in your space?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I call that there's the do it yourself, there's the done with you, and then there's the done for you. So sometimes people structure different offers, or take one product and change it a little bit at those levels.
Yeah, I've considered adding that on as a service on the back end of the sale. So, but I haven't done it yet.
Yeah, that's cool. I think just like, there's a difference between a website that is a marketing brochure for a business, whereas the website is the business. So like if it's an online course website or an e-commerce website where like the website is the business, like what you have here, it's valuable for the brochure coming soon website, for the brick and mortar place or whatever. But for the online business, starting pre-selling and collecting leads ASAP is, I think, really valuable. I'm also one of those, I think that there might be a service there. And one of the other things is education. So if you do education plus product plus service, sometimes that completes the picture, because the education can fill in the gaps, like a basic pre-selling course, touching on, structuring the offer, headlining, sub-headlining, giving a reason people to opt in, how to do the countdown effectively, how to, open it up for viral referral. Like the market might just need a little education, even if it doesn't have to necessarily be a full-on course. It could just be like an online course, could be an email mini course or checklist or lead magnet or whatever. Yeah, I'm just a fan of like figuring out different combinations of education, software, service, products.
Yeah. And that's the kind of thing it's different for every, that combination is different for every product. And I'm still testing ideas and, trying to constantly improve on that, education, product awareness, and things of that nature. But yeah, I've tried the mini course, the email mini course, and I have a short sales cycle. And so typically it's straight to an offer for me. But yeah, I agree. There's education on your product is key. And actually, with the coming soon page, I actually recommend people actually still write blog posts while their website's up and going and release those. So, they're getting some information out there. And not only does it educate, but it also helps them start, getting a head start on Google and getting some of that search engine traffic.
There you go. There's another lesson on pre-selling.
Yeah.
I also noticed, I didn't realize you had this on your pricing table. You had some photography included. or access to stock photos?
Sure. So
How does that work, and where did that decision come from?
yeah. So there's a website called Unsplash.com, and they are a website that lets people post their photographs, and they're pretty high quality, and you can search through them and stuff, and they're all free. They're public domain use. You can use them for commercial or whatever, however you want to use them. They do have a few terms in there where you can't replicate their site and stuff like that, but for the most part, they're free. And they offer developers an API so they can use those images and put them in their own products. So it was just a natural fit for people. One of the first things people will do is, where can I get background images and what size do I use? So the Coming Soon plugin lets you click a button, put in your search term, and it'll bring up, hundreds of images you can choose from. You click on it, and it's instantly sized. And it's just a quick way for people, because the background image is just kind of the eye catcher, right? And it's when you first come to the website. So it lets you get one of those up and going quickly without a whole lot of effort. So that's kind of where that came from.
Did you say that goes through the Unsplash API, or was that how that happens?
Yeah. So we just query their API, and it returns a bunch of images, and then they click on an image, and it automatically sizes it up, and it downloads it to your WordPress and all that fun stuff. So yeah.
Well, this is for the geeky listener out there, but it sounds like you have a specialty here, so I want to ask.
Okay.
How do you approach image sizes? Like in this case, we're looking for a full background image, but we're looking across laptops, big monitors, smartphones.
Right.
Like you're saying your tool automatically crops it or
so it crops it and it resizes it. And this is the thing about a background image is it needs to be in the background. So a lot of people make the mistake of putting like text on a background image or something like that. But now, when you go look at it on a phone or a laptop, it's going to look different because the image will resize and crop based on the image resolution. So there's no perfect size is what I say. The biggest thing is you want to keep it small as far as the weight of the image. So it's not a big page to download. And we keep it big enough to where it looks good on a big screen. And then if you push it down to a mobile site, it'll look great as well. And the next features we'll be coming out with in the next major version 6, is you'll be able to change settings on mobile and desktop. So you'll have completely separate settings for those if you want to tweak them down even further. So some people may want to actually change the image they have on a mobile phone, since there's just not a whole lot of real estate there, and you'll be able to do that. But it's a pretty cool feature, I think, and a lot of people enjoy it.
That's awesome. So you touched on more image options across devices. What else is in the future for SeedProd? Like, where are you headed?
Sure. So the Coming Soon plugin, it's been around for so long, and there's really only so much you can do with it. And it's pretty feature rich right now. The biggest things we'll be doing is making it faster and adding more design options. Some people want to tweak it, but the biggest thing is we don't want to overwhelm people with options. So right now I'm just modernizing some of the stuff it's built on to make it faster and a little bit easier for people to use. And the biggest thing is to make it intuitive for people that are beginning to use it, and then also have the options for advanced users that need to tweak stuff a little bit more. So that's kind of the future of it. Like I said, the plugin is pretty stable, and as far as the feature set goes, but we'll be tweaking those. And also, I don't know if you saw my pricing too, I have a few other products, and those are closely related to the Coming Soon plugin that we sell. That I felt what I built for myself and felt like people need when they were first starting up their website. So
could you touch on those?
Sure. So some of those are like a login page customizer screen. So a lot of people, especially with membership sites, if it's not built into their plugin that they have, they want to customize the login screen. So that's one of the plugins we offer. We offer a contest plugin, which lets you run standalone contests, and it's based on a lot of what the Coming Soon plugin does, but it's a little bit different. It lets you run contests, and it has a little bit more features based on what a contest needs. So like if somebody refers, you can weight the entries that they get and things of that nature. And then we have a 404 landing page plugin. So if you want to collect leads on your 404 page when people hit there. And we've got a few other ones. I won't go through all of them, but most of them are ones that I have built, and they're generated towards lead generation. Most of them are, yeah. And
I'm really fascinated with video marketing myself. It's one of my specialties. So I have to ask, what does WP YouTube Leads Player Pro do?
Okay, sure. So what that one does, it allows you to put an opt-in over your YouTube video so that they have to enter an email to watch the video. So you can have it show up as soon as the video shows up, or you can have the video stop at like a key moment, and then you put your email in to continue to watch the video. It also lets you do things like put calls to action or annotations in the video. And it also lets you do chaptering. So if you want to list a few, quick links, it'll take it to those videos. Excuse me. It'll take you to that spot in the video. So it was just something I had built because I was testing some video ads, and I wanted to collect leads off of those. And I think there's a company called Wistia that lets you do stuff like that. And it was kind of a lot of what their features offered, but the self-hosted version for WordPress.
That is awesome. Do you have any comments as being kind of between the lead and the CRM or the email marketing platform? What do you notice? Do you see any trends in, email marketing, I guess, as in terms of like tool popularity or, what seems to be, what email tools are people choosing these days for the, where they're sending the leads? Just any kind of email marketing comments.
Sure. So obviously MailChimp is really still one of the largest players, and they're kind of catching up in the automation space. But a lot of the three popular ones I hear about a lot are ConvertKit, Drip, and ActiveCampaign. Those are the three ones I hear, and a lot of people are interested in the automation aspect of it. But there's an interesting thing about automation is it's actually quite complex and can be quite complex to set up and to execute. So there's definitely a lot of interest in that right now, but I find a lot of people struggle with actually executing the automation part of it. I myself have set up several ones, and I ended up just going back to some simple campaigns that have delayed releases and move people in and out. But it's there if you want to do it, and a lot of people do have those needs. I don't know if you do any kind of that stuff, but it's a little overkill for what I'm doing.
I'm an ActiveCampaign user, and I used to do a lot of custom work in the Infusionsoft community. I have a background in building complex campaigns, but I feel like building WordPress websites, when you're on that journey of figuring all that stuff out, people tend to go complex, and then you kind of figure it out, and then you burn it all down, and you start over with something much more simple. And I've been through several iterations in terms of marketing funnels or, the essential tools for a website and stuff like that. It gets simpler over time, not more complex.
And I think I use a lot of the 80-20 rule, when it comes to email marketing. I don't try to over optimize, right? I just do the stuff that knocks down the big dominoes.
That's a good point. Well, go check out John's website over at seedprod.com. Super useful tool. If you're listening to this and you have your course idea and you haven't, especially if you haven't launched yet, especially if you have a domain name and it's just sitting there, start getting some leads. Put SeedProd on there and start pre-selling. And having the email opt-in is there. But also the core of business, especially online business, especially in an online education business, is the offer. It's who you're selling to, what is it, what is this course or what is this school or what is this platform all about? Starting that conversation and co-creating through a coming soon page is that is ground zero. It's like an essential step. I would never skip that. When I first started LifterLMS, I had even though I could build fancy websites, I had a lead page template with an offer on there and an opt-in. That's where it all started.
Right. Yeah, you got to test your offer and see if it, people bite on it. That's the biggest thing. And then get feedback on it like we've discussed. It's huge.
Absolutely. Well, John, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Chris.
People can head to seedprod.com. Where else can they connect with you on the internet besides your great podcast, Hooked on Products?
Sure. So those are the main two spots. And I do have a blog at John D. Turner. What is my blog? I've changed it recently. JohnTurner.blog. There you go. And I do post on there every once in a while. And one of my goals this year was to post on there more, of just kind of document my journey. But I'll be posting on there a little bit more as the year wraps up. But that kind of it outlines some of my goals and what I've achieved and stuff, and more goal setting stuff. But yeah, you can reach me there or on Twitter at John Turner.
Awesome. Well, thanks, John.
Well, thanks for having me, Chris, and we'll talk at you soon, okay?
Oh, sounds good.